Good morning and welcome to Mike Rock Uncensored. Before we get started, if you guys are enjoying the content, do me a favor, smash the like and follow button, whether you're here on YouTube or Facebook, so that you can receive all the latest updates, and it goes a long way to help us grow as a community. So, I was gaming last night with some friends on Mike Rock Gaming, and the question was asked what I thought about this whole thing with I don't know if you saw it, the terrorists or the Moscow attackers, or there was a photo that was circulating about a man that was being tortured, that was in this torture device where his genitals, among other things, were being electrocuted. And I knew a little bit about it. And I, to be honest with you, I didn't feel one way or another about the whole thing. And here's why, man. If you are guilty now, and I know that's a big thing, but if you're guilty of doing something like killing 137 people, period, and you have no regard, you've just shown that you have no regard for human life, then guess what? Why should I or anybody else have regard for what happens to the rest of your life? Our governments are in place for a reason. I'm not saying that I agree with a lot of the things that they do, but they still have a country to protect. They still have laws in place that allow them to do a certain thing or not do a certain thing. And at the end of the day, my whole thing is, if you don't want to be subject to those laws and to the punishments, the consequences of those laws, then don't do the crime. Don't put yourself in a position to to warrant circumstances or situations like these Moscow attackers were put under. Now, the only real question that everybody seems, and this is what people do here in America, man. They will take a situation and start applying what ifs. They want to be emotionally invested in a situation in order to make decisions and stuff for themselves, because it's basically, this is self gratification. Never mind all the people that they hurt. Let I want to be sensitive, and everybody's a victim these days, and we need to create drama and more videos by discussing the humanity side of monsters, straight out monsters. And I just discussed another video yesterday, which is why I guess I'm a little bit I was open to talking about this morning. But we just had a discussion about an individual by the name of Steve Avery, where Netflix, who is now being sued, I just found out after doing more homework. Netflix and the directors of this movie called Making of a Murderer, they painted this picture of a killer. They painted this picture of him as being a victim instead of the monster that he was. They didn't just tell a story. This is supposed to be a documentary, basically based on facts, where they actually and knowingly omitted uh, information that we should have had, as that should have been presented to the general public. They not just omitted, they edited the videos, and they took responses that never should have applied to a question, for instance, like in trial, and they twisted it, and they applied different answers to make it to twist the narrative of the real story that we should have had. And how do I know this? Because Candace Owens actually was so appalled by the video that Netflix put out that she created her own 10-part docuseries that explained why the original documentary series was not real, and why people were issuing threats and defending a killer for all of these years. Because there's been protests, there's been death threats that have been put out to the officers, because this story depicts law enforcement as planters and corrupt police force and everything else. And the only reason why that happened was because of the way that they put that information out there. And now with this whole Moscow attack thing, you got, dude, these guys, if now, and I know this is the if, that's what everybody wants to discuss. If they have any doubt that these guys attacked Moscow, that they should not have been tortured the way that they were for information, because a lot of people say torture just does not work. Well, I have news for you. being nice to potential attackers and terrorists in this country or any other country, that doesn't work either. They will refuse to talk to you because they already know you're not going to do anything. Not that you can't do anything to them, but that you're not going to do anything to them. And you can't be rational with irrational people. The thing about crazy, we have all of these. I took martial arts, for instance. But the one thing I always said when I started teaching martial arts, the one thing I would always tell students and parents and things like that is the one thing you can't train for. The one thing you cannot predict is crazy. You can't predict for crazy. So you can train all you want to and it will help you, but you don't know what a crazy person is willing to do in order to achieve whatever desired result they're after. You can't do it. And it's the same thing here. So back, how do I feel about these guys being tortured? I don't feel any way whatsoever. And I'll even show I did the homework because the if question that a lot of people here in the United States want to have. Well, what if they're not guilty? I, I have a hard time believing that somebody that killed 137 people in an attack here in Moscow, I'm having a hard time believing that Russia didn't have a clue that these guys were the actual attackers. Now, with that said, we're going to go over here and look at this story. This is from the Kyiv Post from Ukraine's Global Voice, which since, America's supporting Ukraine, then maybe you guys will be a little bit more willing to listen to what they have to say as opposed to what an actual American might have to say. But if you scroll down, so a photo surfaced on social media Sunday evening of one of the suspects in the Moscow concert hall attack, bound on the floor with his pants down. An electrocution device nearby suggests torture. Um, and it goes on to talk about the torture device. It's actually a torture device called or a process called Tapik, and I hope I'm saying that right. But it goes on and on, which talks about the device. You can see the picture there. But what I found very, very interesting is if you scroll down to right here, the bearded man depicted in the photo could be identified as one of the men arrested by Russian law enforcement agents on Sunday. During the initial interrogation upon his arrest, he said that he had been offered 500,000 rubles to carry out the attack. Now, I don't know. Let's see if there's a little bit more information. Blah, blah, blah. A Tajik national. All of them appeared in court today, where all of them appeared with swollen faces and distorted features, showing clear signs of beating and torture. Now, and then of course it goes on to say that the attack killed more than 130 people at the time of the writing. Now, I don't know about you guys, man, but I, in my lifetime, have never been accused of killing someone, attacking someone, torturing someone, blowing someone up. None of that stuff. I've never even come close. Why? Because I don't participate in activities that even relate to that kind of thing. I don't condone torture. I don't condone violence. But you're sitting there saying, well, if you don't condone violence, why are you okay with this? Like I said, if they are 100% guilty, and they had no regard for human life, I am willing to turn the other cheek when it comes to regard for their own lives. You don't get to just kill people and then victimize yourself as if nothing happened and you did absolutely nothing. The minute you decided to do what you did and you hurt all of those people, I'm sorry, you've got whatever you receive, you had that coming to you, bro. Point blank and simple. I wouldn't care who you were if it was my own kids. Now, yes, I would be devastated that they would do something like that, but at the end of the day, and I would be even more devastated if they were being tortured. So, yes, I mean it's not a double standard because even though I would be devastated at the end of the day, I know, unfortunately, they did what they did to put themselves in that position. Even if you weren't the one that pushed the button, why do they even have you associated with groups that are willing to do horrendous acts, commit horrendous acts like that? That's crazy. So yes, I'm okay with it. As long as now, if they come out later on and um, find out that these guys, or any of these guys that were tortured, actually had nothing to do with the attack itself, then I believe that Moscow should hold themselves to the same accountability and be responsible, and um, and there should be some consequences for the actions that they took. But I said, at the end of the day, we rarely ever know the full story of what's going on. We only know about the spoon-fed information that the media decides to give us. But I figured, since that was from Ukraine, you guys would, a lot of you people, you know who I'm talking about, will decide that this is information that they can accept, because it isn't directly from Russia. It isn't from the New York Post. It isn't from any media source that you've been taught and trained not to listen to. So, anyways, I'm out of here for now, man. Those are my thoughts. Let me know what you think in the comment section. But again, if you enjoy this content, hit the like and follow button so that we can grow and have more discussions like this, man. We'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.